audio check.
Now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now, if you're not completely satisfied, a few words from better than ever in your neighborhood. You'll be amazed.
Everything Pharmacy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 0 of RX Radio, a podcast dedicated to everything pharmacy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm calling this episode 0 because I just wanted to give you guys an introduction to RX Radio and really just say hello and tell you a little bit about myself and what you can expect from this podcast. Most episodes will be a interview style based, and today it's just going to be me, but I do hope to have a lot of different guests on the show. And so it won't be different today. I'm going to just kind of interview myself. So let's get started. Who's this podcast going to be for? Well, I really think that this podcast is going to be for anyone that's either interested or really deep into the pharmacy industry. Whether you're a pharmacy student currently in school, whether you just got accepted, whether you're about to go on rotations, or whether you're a pre-pharmacy student really thinking about if this is for you, or you're a pharmacist really deep into your career and well off into being a pharmacist. I think this is going to be for everyone. And unfortunately, because of that, not every episode will be for everyone, but I do think that it's going to be a great range of information, and I think a lot of people are going to get some great value out of these episodes. So what kind of topics are we going to cover on these episodes? Well, I definitely want to go over news and updates in the field. I'm going to talk about leadership, personal development, which is going to help a lot of people, whether they're interviewing to get into pharmacy school or whether they're interviewing to get a job as a pharmacist. We're also going to talk about, CVs and resumes, and we're going to dive real deep into networking even, and what to do when you go to networking events. That's going to be great. One of the great things I think also that's going to be on this podcast is I'm going to be doing a lot of different interviews with pharmacists from all different types of industries and fields in pharmacy. For example, we're going to have an ER pharmacist on the show. We're going to talk to a transplant pharmacist. I'm a community pharmacist, so you're going to hear a lot of that from me. We're going to have pharmacists from even different countries, hopefully Australia, hopefully pharmacists in the UK. So we're going to get a glimpse into what pharmacy is like, not only here in the US in the different fields that pharmacists are currently practicing, but we're also going to get a glimpse of pharmacy across the world. And that's something I'm real excited to bring to you guys. So one thing I really want to do with this podcast, though, is get feedback from people. I'm on all types of social media, and I'm going to be interacting with a lot of different people, and I want to hear your feedback. I want to know if it sucks. I want to know if you love it. I want to know if there's something that you want us to go over or you want us to cover on these episodes. So I'm super receptive to feedback, so please reach out to me on any of the social medias, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're going to be on all of those, so please reach out. So a little bit about myself. I currently work as a community pharmacist here in Miami, Florida, where I grew up, and I went to FIU for undergrad, got a bachelor's degree in chemistry. I was also pretty involved on campus. I was in a fraternity called Pi Kappa Phi, shout out to Theta Delta. I went to pharmacy school at the University of Florida. I was at the Orlando campus, shout out to O-Town, and my involvement on campus there also continued. I was part of PLS. I was the president of my class for a couple years, and I held a couple positions in Kappa Psi. Shout out to EMU, Epsilon Mu down there in Orlando. You guys are doing great things. So I officially started my pharmacy career with Target Pharmacy while I was in school. I did a couple internships there in the summers, and they hired me on when I graduated as a pharmacy manager. And I worked there for a couple years, and then they got bought out by CVS. And after the transition of that, I went to a different retail company, which I currently work for now. I'm not going to mention the name of who I'm working for now, only because I want to stress the fact that this podcast has nothing to do with my current employer, and all these opinions and everything that I talk about on here are my own and RX Radio's. So I won't be mentioning exactly who I'm working for, but I do work for a large community pharmacy retail chain. And I have a very interesting hobby for someone that has grown up in Miami, Florida. Every year I go snowboarding. I try to go to different places. I try to go to a different place every year. So far, I've been to Mammoth, California. I've been to Keystone, Colorado. I was in upstate New York, Hunter's Mountain. Snowbird I went to in Utah, and the last place I went to was Park City, which was awesome. I might be going back there. and a couple other places. But snowboarding is one of my favorite things to do, and it's super weird being from Miami. But that's a little bit about myself. So on to the future of pharmacy. I recently wrote an article that was titled Amazon's Pharmacy. And this article, it wasn't I do think Amazon will eventually be into the pharmacy business, being that they recently acquired Whole Foods. But the title Amazon's Pharmacy is more of just like a generalization of what I think pharmacy is going to in the future. And I just think that Amazon will be leading the way, but it's going to be that of, I think that the act of dispensing medications has been commoditized in today's industry. And I think that the landscape of community pharmacy is going to change drastically in the coming years. And I think it's a really exciting time. I think that it's really going to allow community pharmacists to be community pharmacists. We're going to have to worry. We're going to worry so much less about the daily tasks that we didn't really learn in school. And we're going to focus more on providing patient care. We're going to focus more on improving outcomes and less about return to stock. And I think it's a really, really exciting time. And I'm really excited to continue to talk about and have these types of dialogues on this show. And not just in the community pharmacy setting, but in all types of settings. And again, I really do appreciate you tuning in, and I hope that you can get a lot of great value out of this podcast. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm probably going to put videos up on YouTube on this also. But again, if you have any feedback on this podcast, if you want to tell me how much you hate it, or if you want to tell me how cool it is, please let me know. Any feedback is going to be greatly appreciated. And until next time, see you over the counter. That's a good ending. I just thought of it on the spot. That's a good ending. See you over the counter.